gentlemen, what did you think of Crossroads? How amazing was it to see it back on the big screen? How amazing is it to see it back on the big screen?
I mean,
I want to welcome back to the stage here, director Tamera Davis and Ann Carly, producer Ann Carly, director Tamera Davis. So first of all, I just want to say that we would love for the cast to be here, but you know the SAG-AFTRA strike is still going on. Britney and the cast really, really wanted to be here, but without further ado, we have the director and the producer. The show must go on. So let's hear it for Britney and the cast and crew of Crossroads.
Everybody is so good in it too. Just to look at everybody's performances is just lovely.
I mean, I gotta say, that, you know, you're watching this and it's Anson Nam. He's on Star Trek, and there's Zoe Saldana from Avatar and Star Trek. Oh, and Kim Cattrall and Dan Aykroyd. What a great cast! What was it like for you to bring it back to the big screen? Like, what does this moment mean for both of you?
It's a long time coming, actually.
I'm just psyched because when it came out, it like we knew when we screened it that girls really loved it. We screened it and tested it and stuff. But then it was so criticized, and so when I saw it again after all these years, I was like, how could you criticize her? Like, she really is beautiful in it. She really gives a beautiful performance in all of them. And like that's like pretty intense subject matter as well. Like, so I don't know, I was really excited to watch it, and when you see it, you know, with all the years gone past, you see that it really holds up, and so I'm really proud of it.
It absolutely does. It hold up? This was a combination of RCA Records, of Sony Music, and of course Britney's management team really coming together. So take us through the process of how this re-release came about, Ann.
Well, I think the record company owned it. The record company actually paid for to make the movie originally, and then the original label that she was on, Jive, got sold to BMG, and then that got sold to Sony. And I don't think they really knew that they had it. And in fact, we've been trying to. I actually found a distributor that wanted to release it and everything like that, but no one knew who to talk to. But I guess when Britney called. They listened a little bit more closely, I think. So,
all right. So Britney calls. Can you remember, like word for word, what she said, like what the conversation was like?
She didn't call us.
I think that, she really wanted it to help with re-releasing her book, you know, and I think that and also just for us all to kind of look back at her life and see how she was overprotected, and you know, and I don't know.
Actually, to see when I see it in context and things that have happened.
So for those of you who don't already know, Britney's new book, The Woman in Me, comes out tomorrow. But as you were exiting the theater, you are all going to get a copy. And we know that by midnight you will have it read cover to cover. So it's been a while, I'm sure, since you've seen the film. So what was it like for you to go back? What was the state of the film? What kind of production work, additional production work did you have to do to get it ready for this?
Well, it was originally shot on film, and so it was film projected, and so we had to get it ready to stream and to be, you know, digitally projected. So I had to do like a digital copy of it, and just making sure that it was to transfer it from film version to the video version.
So that it looked just as good as it did originally.
So as you're rewatching, what kind of memories came back to the making of the film?
All of it. I remember everything.
Yeah. I mean, we actually saw it a few weeks ago because we were watching the DCP, and I cried in quite a few places, and I think one of the things that I think at the very end during the credit roll, when you see all those outtakes and everybody's laughing all the time, that's really what it was. And that, you know, that was a joy to see and to remember. So,
well, you know, going back to 2001 when you made the film, how did it even come together in the first place? This is Britney's first major acting role, and she's with a great, it's an ensemble. So she's got the support, everybody's elevating each other. Like, how did that casting process go?
Well, the idea of doing it as an ensemble, I ran Will Smith's company for a while. That's why I moved out to LA. And if you notice in his very first films, he comes from a music career and transitioned into films, and all his early films were ensembles. And that was to help him, and also so, you know, to surround him with other actors. And so that's what we wanted to do with this, to give her a lot of support, and also like a crew. So that's how that came together. And then Tamera's sister is an awesome casting director, and yeah.
Yeah,
And so
she's
she
great.
has
Kim
the
Davis
film.
and Justine Badley, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're up for an Emmy right now for Daisy Jones and the Six. So yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
Oh my God, that show is
So
amazing.
amazing, yeah.
That show, it's on Amazon Prime. Check it out, Daisy Jones and the Six.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, she's incredible. So.
Yeah, and then Shonda was like a new writer that
Right.
you know.
What happened was Shonda Rhimes and I had a film that was set up at Miramax, and the plug got pulled on it not too far out from the from us starting pre-production. We were super depressed, very depressed, and so we were at a movie. And the week, I don't know if you guys would remember when Britney was on Saturday Night Live when she was hosting. Okay, so that I'd seen her on Saturday night. Sunday we go to a movie, Sean and I I said, hey, I think Britney's really a natural talent. You want to make a movie with Britney Spears? What do you think? I think we could do it. And she said, yeah, I like her. You know, yeah, I'm gonna. And so she said, okay, yeah, sure, why not? And though I approached the record company, whom I used to work for that record company, and I had they called me up on some of her videos and stuff and said, because I did artist development for a long time, and they said, and the thing was, I also made the first Will Smith videos, and I had said to them, the owner of the company at the time, he's gonna be a big star. Because the camera loved him, and parents just don't understand. And my boss, who owned the company, said, well, do you know how to make a movie? I said, I have no idea, but I didn't know how to make a music video 2 years ago. So he said, well, not now, but one day we'll make a movie. So I called him up and said, hey, remember you said about making a movie? And he said, yeah, he said, I think Britney's got what Will had. So that's how that came about.
Yeah, so at the time that the filming was going on, again, it was around 2001 or so.
Yeah.
So I think Britney had come out with her third album. She was like really just at the peak of her fame. But she was also doing something for the first time. What was it like for her to do something different?
I mean, I think it was a challenge for her, and she really wanted to do it. And I wanted to work with her because I saw that she wanted to take a risk, and she, in the new record that was coming out, she also wanted to get rid of this image of being this virginal kind of this virgin girl.
Yeah.
And so it's funny to see it in the very beginning, like it's kind of like to be called a virgin. And so she really wanted to like shed that image and, write the woman in me, whatever her, I'm not a girl. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's all about that. So yeah, so that it kind of was, I think she really wanted to, it was for that record, but also to really, do something new and move on from that, shake that Disney kind of feel.
So in terms of the cast, I mean, obviously, Britney's got the support of this amazing cast, but also Britney is supporting her amazing cast. So how did that
Yes.
work? Where they elevated her, she elevated them.
Yeah, she had to come to work like not as Britney Spears. Like the moment she came to set, she had to leave Britney, and whatever the Britney was behind. Because when you work on a movie, and especially like this, it's a crew, it's an ensemble, and I think that she really enjoyed that. Yeah, because before everybody just would listen, she was at the top of her like thing at that point. And so everybody listened to her and did everything she said, and I think it was really an interesting thing for her to come in and just be one of the girls.
Yeah, I mean, when we first went to talk to her, to meet with her, and it was Sean and I at that point, and Clive had said, if she likes the idea and she wants to make a movie, then okay, yeah, we'll make it. So we went out to meet with her, but she was on tour, and then when you came on board, you had to go and meet her on tour, so she was super busy. And one of the things that I thought was really important was that she had time to rehearse and get to know the other actors and things like that. But they kind of didn't really give her the time, and like the day before we started shooting, or 2 days before, they had her in a giant Pepsi commercial with like, it was crazy. And at one point, I was gonna say they wanted really her to be recording at night after she did a full day's work on the set. And I just said, absolutely not, I'll shut the movie down right now, because that's not fair to her. They had her come to me and say, it's okay, I don't mind to work an 18-hour day. And I said, guess what? You don't have to. You don't have to. So, our last scenes that we shot were in the theater when she's singing, and I remember she was crying the whole day because it was the last day. Thank God it was an emotional scene, because you were like, I'm gonna have to use it. We're gonna have to go with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, I remember. So the film came out on February 15th, 2002, and it made $61 million. That's pretty good. I mean, 21 years ago, that's I mean, it's a lot of money today, but it's a lot more money back then. And then this year, you had the Barbie movie, you have the Taylor Swift movie, and I'm watching Crossroads, and I'm like, this movie could have come out today. It was. I mean, did you all love it?
It's women. It's like girls making movies written by girls, for girls, by girls. Now you see when you give girls power to make movies, they're making cool movies now. But back then it was very unusual. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that.
I got interviewed. Yeah. I got interviewed by Premier Magazine, and it was a guy that was interviewing me, and he said, "Is this a political statement?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, there's a lot of women on this crew. I mean, our editor was a female, us, And I just said, no, I hired the people that I thought were best for the job. And he was like, yeah, that's political. And I said, no. I said, I am a woman of color and a woman, right? So my address book is bigger than possibly a white guy's, you know what I mean? As far as the people that I work with, and I work in independent films. So I said, no, it wasn't intentional. This is just, what was right for this movie.
Yeah, it's amazing that this year you have these two films that really touched an underserved demographic of the movies. I mean, Barbie made $1.5 billion. That's $1 billion worldwide. Taylor Swift's movie made almost $100 million of its opening weekend. I mean, that's huge. And just to see this great turnout for Crossroads 21 years after it came out, a movie that absolutely fits right in with these other two films.
It's important for girls to tell stories too.
Yes. Guys, as we went back and rewatched it, what were some of the fond memories you had making the film? Anything kind of jump out at you? It's, oh, I remember that day.
I mean, I feel like all the music, how it interweaves through the film, I think was really fun, because you live your life at that age just surrounded by music, what's on the radio and what you play and dancing, and so that really stood out. But also like the female friendship really stood out, and I was really amazed at Shonda's work and how it really, kind of like it, unfolds. It's not so immediate. It's like it slowly goes on this road trip, and you see how these girls become friends and how important those friendships are. And so I think like that really stood out. But also just like I love their fight scene was really good with Taryn and Zoe. They're really good. Yeah, they were all so good. And
yeah, they really were. And I think it was the film ends with the three girls. It doesn't end with Lucy and Ben. It ends with the three girls, because that was the part that was important.
Right. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is And I moderate a lot of these filmmaker, actor Q&As and everything, and everyone always brings up trust. And again, this is Britney's very first feature film acting role. So there's definitely a trust factor that must have gone on between you and Britney for her to give it her best, and for you to give it your best as well. And like, when did you start to feel like this is working?
I mean, I think like it was hard in the beginning because she wasn't an actress, you know, she was Britney, you know, so I think that we really tried hard to get an authentic performance because you had to really, like, just a real acting, if you're gonna act next to Taryn Manning, who's just brilliant, you know, and so real, and Zoe adding humor, like, who knew she was so funny, but also, like, really, really good, and Anson, too. So, you know, she had to play at their level, and she worked really hard at that,
Yeah.
you know, and I think, like, even just, she at first was really confused with the clothes that she had to wear. Like she just couldn't. She would like put outfits.
She didn't like
on.
them.
She didn't like them at all, and she'd be like,
Yeah.
and because she'd show up as Britney Spears, and then I'd put like a sweat top on her and
Yeah.
like short, and yeah, she just wouldn't get it. And then she finally really saw that it was like a costume, you know, playing a character. And then she started to understand putting that on, she would become the character. And yeah, so I think like just, you know, having that, yeah, just working hard. Yeah, she worked really hard to get that performance.
Yeah, she worked incredibly hard. But I think one of the things, though, it was a story we were talking about. She broke out in acne, like on the day of our camera test, right? And I mean, not just on her face, but on her the rest of her body. And the makeup artist came in to me and she said, "It's not my fault, not my fault, there's nothing I can do, it's gonna look terrible and cakey." And I said, that's okay, don't worry about it. And we'll figure it out, I know it's not your fault. And it was just nerves, I think, from, you know, just going into this new venture. And, you know, there were different things that were done to try to do it, but we couldn't get around it. And I just said, trust me, I will take care of it. We have a bit of contingency, and I'll just make sure that you will look absolutely fine. And for someone where she was, you know, like as a huge superstar, where she still is, but to not like have it affect her performance, she was always on time, she never stayed in her trailer. She really did, you know, take that leap of faith and trust. I mean, I've worked with, you know, famous people that have not done that, who won't come out or will have a tantrum or something like that, and she didn't do any of that.
What do you think the film means to her now, and what does it mean to you?
I mean, it must mean something to her because she wanted it to be released with her book. So, you know, I think that she looks back at it and, yeah, as this time, and I think she wants people to look back at her work and see it in a different way, you know, and maybe not such harsh criticism, and see who she was at that time. And that when we look back at it now, we see that she was really good at it. Yeah, and she just was really honest, and she gives like a very honest, you know, performance. So, yeah, I mean, I think it means a lot to me because I think like just as an artist, you do work and then you make sure that everybody who was involved is
Right.
happy, and then you have no idea what happens afterwards. And so, you know, I was happy that it made money, but I also was like, God, that was so mean that some critics were like complained about it. And so for me that it is coming back out and now critics are looking back at it going, wow, I guess maybe we were quite harsh on this movie and we shouldn't have been. And yes, and I think like as an artist, you make something and it stays. And so it's nice to know when it comes back that you were, you know, that we were right.
Right.
We made the film we intended to make.
The Guardian, I think on the 20th anniversary, the Guardian in Britain did a review just saying how critics had mistreated the film, and that there were so many things in it that were, you know, I mean, we tackle a lot of tough subjects in this film. It is not a fluffy film in any way, shape, or form. And that was also really important to Britney. It was important to Britney that this not be a PG film. She absolutely wanted a PG-13, and we fought with the studio on that.
Yeah, there was a moment where, Sherry Lansing told me to, she said, maybe we should try with cutting the scene out when she has sex with Anson, like taking that scene out. And I was like, what? Like, she's like, I'm a suggestion. Like, let's try it without that scene. And I was like, no. Like, that was the whole reason I know she wanted to make this film. So no, we have to have that scene in there. And I knew that I would have the backup of,
Right.
and
And
Sean
also the
and Britt
investor.
and the investor. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like we're keeping that in. And I was so grateful that the scores were good from the girls in the audience that Sherry let me keep it. But so it's like, sometimes you have to fight for things, and I was grateful that that was one that we won.
So before we do, there's a sing-along here,
Sing
right?
on, woo!
So before we do the sing-along, is there anything you would like to say to the diehards who are here with us tonight?
I mean, I'm so grateful for the fans. Like, there's nothing without fans, you guys. So she's grateful for them. I'm grateful for them because you guys are the ones that like create culture and you make it happen. So we love you, and we're so grateful for you guys to be here and appreciate it. It's because of you, that we're here. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think this was over a year of our work, like every day, to bring this together. And the fact that, it's got a theatrical release. There's a lot of films that are coming out now that they're not in the theaters ever. And here we are again. So we're very, very, very grateful for that. We're grateful for, your love and support of Britney as we love and support her.
Yeah, and I think that it's because of the fans that she's at the place she's at now and free, and out of her conservative. Yeah, so that's like huge, and able to express herself freely, and that's really important.
So I want to thank Trafalgar Releasing. I want to thank Sony Music. I want to thank RCA Records. I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank the both of you, and of course, let's hear for Britney Spears, everybody. Let's take it away with the sing-along.
Thank you.
Can we keep the mics for the sing-along?